Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, this is my 2023 Subaru WRX Premium. I've had it for about 2 months now, and I've put on close to 2,000 miles. This is the first time taking it out in the snow because for the first snowstorm, I still had summer tires on, if you can believe it. I know, I should not have procrastinated as long as I did. But in this video, we're going to go over some of the things you should know about the VB generation before buying one, regardless of whether it's a 2022 or 2024. My time with this car has been fantastic and phenomenal. It's become my daily driver. I've become very attached to it. And I don't know if I had mentioned this in earlier videos, but I only had plans of keeping this car for about 6 months. But 2 months in now, I'm getting too attached. I think we've become inseparable at this point, and I might keep it a little longer. But this car does have a lot of quirks, not only when it comes to the design, but also the driving experience as well. And the 2024 model does fix some of those quirks, especially with the TR trim, but also when it comes to technology and features, you might be more apt to choose a 2024 over a 2022 or 2023. Some of the topics that we're going to be pinpointing today is some of the exterior features such as this plastic cladding, but also the miles per gallon, since I've owned this car for about 2 months. Also the driving experience as well, because if you are cross-shopping this with the Volkswagen GTI, Hyundai Elantra N, or Honda Civic Si, depending on what you're looking for in your next daily driver, you might choose one of those 3 cars over the WRX. But if you are a hardcore enthusiast, you might love what the VB generation is giving you. So if you're ready, let's dive right into this video. So let's first start off with the design of the WRX. Always have to start off with the exterior, but more importantly, the plastic cladding, because I know a lot of you out there will go for color matching fender flares, but also maybe even color match the bumper. If you live in colder regions of the US, the plastic cladding is most certainly necessary. And with this car having a rally heritage, it kind of makes sense that they would do this to this generation. But as you can tell, I've been driving this car around all day, and the rear bumper is taking the brunt of the road salt. Also, we've had a lot of rain so far over the last 2 months, and it's kind of been washing away some of the roads. And all that debris is being kicked up into the wheel wells, and it's keeping the paint nice and clean and showroom brand new. A lot of cars do not give you that ability. And one thing I have learned so far owning this car is that you might want to go with XPEL or at least ceramic coating to keep your car looking nice and clean. But the plastic cladding is protecting the paint, more importantly. It's doing its job. And while I was looking at color matching fender flares, I don't think I'm going to do that, especially since I deal with winter and also winter road conditions. I'm also beginning to like the plastic cladding from a design perspective because it provides a nice color contrast and matches the gloss gray wheels on the Premium and, of course, the Limited and GT. But also, these side skirts, extremely aggressive, but those too are deflecting the road salt and also the debris. So it's doing its job, and that's why I'm not too apt to get rid of it anytime soon, because I think that what Subaru has here is a car that really fits the lifestyles of people who live in colder regions of the US, people who do go off-road or experience dirt roads. This is a true rally car for the average consumer. Now let's talk about fuel efficiency for a minute. And this is where I think I'm going to be scaring off a lot of potential buyers for the WRX. So official numbers come in at 19 miles per gallon in the city and 26 miles per gallon on the highway. That is far less than what we see from the Honda Civic Si and Volkswagen GTI. If you are looking for a fuel-efficient daily driver, this is not it. In fact, this is like driving an SUV or pickup truck. Now, for myself, having owned this car for about 2 months, put on close to 1,600 to 1,700 miles, I'm doing close to 24 to 25 miles per gallon combined. Now, I do a lot of highway driving, and I also do a lot of suburban back road driving, and I rarely hit traffic. But in the city, it is close to around 19 miles per gallon, so it's very dead-on accurate. But you can squeeze every ounce of fuel out of this car, because if you drive conservatively on the highway, I've seen 28 and close to 29 miles per gallon. Now, of course, I work a hybrid lifestyle, so I only drive 250 to 300 miles a week, and I only fill up once a week. So it's not really killing me at the pump. I'm paying close to $45 to $50 on premium fuel. Now, you can use 87. I would not recommend that. If you're looking for the best performance, go with 91 or 93 octane, depending on where you live. Then, as always, have to come to the side profile once again for the tires. With the VB generation, you only get summer tires, which to me make absolutely no sense because Subaru is all about symmetrical all-wheel drive, going off-road, taking on the elements. But with the WRX, you have summer tires only, so you will have to swap out for all seasons or winters, depending on where you live, or if you live in Florida, Texas, or California, you might want to go with a better summer tire because those Dunlops are trash. They're absolutely garbage. So take the $1,300 bite and buy yourself better tires, or maybe you can sell your summer tires. That's what I would do for sure. But if you live in colder regions, the minute you buy that WRX, you're gonna have to go with those winters or all seasons. In regards to the on-road driving experience, we're gonna start off with what's not so great about the WRX and work our way to really what makes this car very special in my opinion, especially in 2024, but also in this segment in general. First and foremost, you're going to notice that the braking is abysmal and atrocious. Not necessarily when you're driving on suburban streets like I'm on right now in stop-and-go traffic, but when you are on those back roads, when you are by yourself and you have driven other sports cars in this market or maybe even some exotic cars, that you have the ability to slow down entering into a corner, and then you can accelerate out and just really enjoy every aspect of the driving experience on a back road. With the WRX and having driven this car for 2 months, I still haven't yet gotten to the point where I'm comfortable enough that I can brake heavily entering the corner so that I can accelerate out. And it's most because these brakes are very linear. There's no bite to them at all. If you were to compare this to a Volkswagen GTI, the GTI's brakes do have a nice strong grab. There's that bite point. The WRX doesn't have that. And to me, I think that's one of the most disappointing aspects about this car. Now, if you are looking at buying a WRX for 2024, I would recommend going with the TR. The TR addresses that problem. But also, in my opinion, with the TR, you're getting a better overall performing car that really suits this particular market and enthusiasts in general. If you're looking at buying a 2022 to 2024 and you're not going to go with the TR, just be prepared that these brakes are less than adequate without question. And I just hope that at some point that Subaru does offer a Brembo brake kit. Although, when you look at the Brembo brake kits that are currently on the aftermarket, you're spending $6,000 to $7,000, which then equates to the $43,000 you'll be spending with a TR. So that is one thing to keep in mind here about this generation. I think the brakes are its weakest point. Everything else I'm going to be talking about is pretty much things you would expect with a Japanese car at this price point. Number two would be road noise, and you hear a lot of it. It's not a very quiet cabin at all, and it really doesn't feel all that refined in that regard. If you're somebody who doesn't care about that, you want a sports car, you want a vehicle that kind of feels like the past, that's where the WRX will make a lot of sense. The fact that you feel as one with the road and you get that sense of just driving a true driver's car is what makes the WRX, in my opinion, the better choice in its price point. But that goes hand in hand with the fact that this generation, and for 2024, does feel very raw. It's a very raw-powered car for what it is. And I know people are going to be in the comment section who owned a 2005 WRX STI and saying, oh, there's no way, I drove a VB and it feels very soft, it's too refined. Yeah, I think we can say that about every single car in the market right now compared to its predecessor 20 years ago. But in 2024, what you have here is a car that does feel very old school. It feels like a car from the past. And that to me is why I chose it. Because a Honda Civic Si, Volkswagen GTI, or even a Hyundai Elantra N is going to feel too tech-focused, going to feel too modernized. And to go along with that, you do not get auto rev matching in this car, which really just showcases just how old school and analog this generation really is. Another thing I would pinpoint as well with the VB is the very light and vague steering. I've gotten used to it at this point. And because you have a very stiff and rigid chassis, it makes up for it. Sure, I would love to have the tight handling and having the feedback from the steering, but the way this car performs and handles in the corners, especially with this suspension, it most certainly makes up for where this car is lacking in regards to that steering input. And that right there is what makes owning the WRX so fun. I do think though that the gears first and second are a bit too short for my liking, but 3, 4, 5, that's where the WRX is at its best when it comes to just the power that it can put down. Now for the interior, 2024 makes some significant changes and improvements depending on what you're looking for in a sports car such as this. So for all models, you will get the 11.6-inch touchscreen for 2024, whereas 2022 and 2023 models for the base WRX get the dual touchscreen setup. Personally, I do not like the dual touchscreens at all. I think it looks horrible for a car in the 2020s. The 11.6-inch touchscreen does take some time to get used to. Once you understand the layout, it becomes second nature. But more importantly, though, for 2024, you will get EyeSight driver assist technologies, which was only available for WRXs with the CVT or SPT, as Subaru likes to call it. If you're somebody who doesn't want that technology overriding your experience, you want more of a raw feel, then go with the 2022 and 2023 models. However, if you're somebody who hops in from a newer car and you want that tech, you want that extra layer of safety, definitely take a look at the 2024. But it should be worth mentioning that if you are waiting for a 2024 WRX and you want a base model, prices will be increased significantly over 2023 base. Because with the 11.6-inch touchscreen, with the EyeSight driver assist features, that equates to around $3,000 in extras. So rather than spending $31,000 for a base 2023 model, you're spending close to $34,000 for a base WRX. Now, just to put this into perspective, I spent $35,500 on the premium. What does the premium give you? It gives you heated front seats, gives you the fog lights, gives you the 18-inch wheels, gives you the rear deck lid spoiler. That to me is worth enough for this car. Whereas with a base WRX at $34,000, you are missing out on a lot of aesthetic features. Sure, you get the 11.6-inch touchscreen and you get the EyeSight driver assist features, but if those aren't necessary, if those aren't things you desperately need, I would say try finding a brand new 2023 WRX at a dealership that's trying to get rid of inventory, because you're going to be saving a lot more money up front compared to a brand new 2024 model. Also, another thing too about the interior for the WRX is that you can really customize this car to your liking with OEM parts. Subaru offers a lot of accessories. One accessory I would definitely opt for is the STI short throw shifter. So Subarus have very long throws with the WRX and the BRZ, but the STI short throw shifter fixes all of that, and it really helps out with the upshifting and downshifting, makes it far more enjoyable to drive a manual car in 2024. And then finally, let's talk about these seats for a minute. Not necessarily the upholstery and the bolstering, but rather the seat positioning. So unlike most sports sedans, with the WRX, you feel as though you're sitting on top of the chassis rather than being a part of it. It's a complete 180 compared to the BRZ. If you're somebody who doesn't need 4 doors, take a look at the BRZ because it has that traditional sports car feel. But with the WRX, when I take a look at the interior design, the way the seating positioning is, and also the exterior with the plastic cladding, it almost feels as though Subaru was trying to revive the Outback sedan back in the mid-2000s with the higher ground clearance and making this car off-road worthy, because that's where I think having the plastic cladding makes sense, and also seat positioning as well. I feel like I'm driving a Crosstrek or a Subaru Outback or Forester in these seats. Now, when it comes to just the overall vision, you can see directly out in front of you, plenty of visibility. But just for a sports car, I feel like these seats kind of take away that feedback and that feeling of being one with the car. And that isn't something that I would say is a make or break deal, but something I did want to pinpoint with this generation, because it doesn't feel necessarily like a sports car when you're sitting in it. When you're driving, it's a whole completely different story. But when it comes to seat positioning, though, that is something I would keep in mind, especially if you are looking at other competitors in this market. So to wrap up this video, you're probably wondering, okay, Why should I buy a Subaru WRX in 2024 if it has so many quirks? Well, ultimately, it's because it's one of the most raw and enthusiast-focused cars you can buy right now on the market, brand new. Also, of course, you do have all-wheel drive, which makes it very easy to deal with this white stuff here, the ice and the snow. It's a great all-around and all-weather vehicle. But when I do talk about it being raw and analog, I mean that in more of a terms of where we are right now in the 2020s. Obviously, it's not going to feel like a Subaru WRX from 20 years ago. It's not going to feel like an air-cooled Porsche from the 90s or 1980s. But compared to the Civic Si, the GTI, or Elantra N, it just feels so much more old school, and you feel more involved than you would in those three cars and competitors. So if that's the type of car you're looking for, go with the WRX. If you want something a bit more modernized, something a bit more technologically advanced, or something that's a bit more futuristic, take a look at other cars in this price range. But if you're a true enthusiast, I think you'll definitely love what the WRX is offering from the 2022 to 2024 model years. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. Also, let me know in the comment section below if this video is helpful. Thank you so much for watching once again. Take care, and I'll see you guys next time.